On some modules, the level control of particular functions will also work as an attenuator when there is an incoming CV signal. So in the case of the voltage controlled LFO, the level here will control the amount of LFO signal that's coming out of the module. But if the CV signal is present at the level input, then this becomes an attenuator, and it limits the amount of influence that that incoming CV signal has over the level of the modulation coming out of the outputs. So imagine if you've got an envelope generator connected to this level input. An envelope generator will typically produce a range between 0 to 10 volts positive. So with the attenuator all the way up, you're going to get the full 10 volt range coming in from the envelope generator, which means at the peak of the envelope, the amount of modulation will be at its highest level. And then as the decay or the release of the envelope fades its level down to 0, the level of modulation will also return to 0. And if you have the control down to, say, halfway, then that's reducing the range of the incoming envelope to about 5 volts. So it will only raise the level of modulation to about 50% of its maximum level, and then at the end of the envelope drop down again to 0. But the key thing is it always returns to 0. So if you want to retain about 50% output level from that LFO and also use an envelope to then increase the level momentarily, then you need to apply an offset to that level so that you can choose where its minimum level will be. On many modules, say something like a filter, you'll be able to do this on the target module itself, because with a filter you can set the minimum frequency that you want and then control the amount of modulation from an envelope or whatever. But for many other modules and for many functions, that won't be possible. You can fix this problem with the CV mix, because it allows you to mix CV signals together but also amplify them, and because the pots are bipolar, you can also invert incoming signals. On channel 1, if nothing is connected to the input here, this then becomes a fixed voltage. And then you can use that to mix with the incoming signals from other modules, in this case from an envelope generator, so that the module that is receiving that signal will always have a minimum level which you set, and then you can also control the maximum level with the other channel that's controlling the level of the envelope generator or LFO or whatever else you want to send into it. What we've got going on here is basically just a 4-step sequence. The top row of the sequencer is sending pitch to the VCO, and the gate output is controlling or triggering the multiburst envelopes. The output of that module is controlling the frequency of the filter. It's opening and closing the filter, which is giving the impression of the note being struck. But I want to give the impression of a note being struck multiple times on each step. So on the bottom row, I've got a 7-step sequence, and the CV from each of these steps is controlling the amount of bursts on each step, which is currently 2 for most of the steps anyway. But also, I've only got the first of those 7 steps sending a gate signal, so the gate is disabled on the other 6 steps. And that gate is being sent to the contour generators module here. And the envelope for that is via the CV mix, affecting the rate of the LFO. But also on that first step, I've got the CV value that's going to the bursts input set so that it gives me several repeats, just so that it doesn't run out. What the CV mix is doing is it's taking that signal from the envelope generators, and I've got just a bit of it mixed in, and it's adding to it fixed voltage, and it's that combined voltage which is setting the LFO rate at such a speed that I'm getting 2 repeats during each step, and the second repeat being just before the start of the next step, just to give it that sort of swing kind of effect. But then on that 1 step out of the 7 that triggers the envelope, then it also has the envelope signal added to the fixed CV, which increases the speed of the LFO. because I've got decay on the envelope, the effect just slightly fades out. And so you get what sounds like 4 notes just played much more rapidly and sort of descending in speed. So if I take out the effect of the envelope, that's basically what's just coming from the CV mix. It's sending a constant voltage to determine the LFO rate. And if I reduce that down to nil, then it's not going to get anything. It'll be as though the LFO rate is all the way down to 0. And then I can add the envelope. So that's all 10 volts coming from the envelope generator. So on that 7th note, you're getting a bunch of notes. And then I can just use this to determine LFO speed. Then I can add envelope to it for that one step of the 7. The CV mix basically means that you can customize any CV signal to suit the purpose that you want it for. So in the case of modulation, you can use it to cherry pick the range of modulation or the range of signal that you want to create a certain effect.